evening, everyone, and welcome to another Friday night's edition of Center Stage. I'm Carrie Hines, your host. Thank you for joining us for what promises to be a very informative and mind-blowing 2 hours. Sit back, relax, and try to wrap your mind around someone wanting to intentionally open the door to hell, and you will have a good sense of where tonight's show is going. Tonight's show will be all about the scientific, spiritual, and metaphysical implications of the research currently underway at Cern, the European Council of Nuclear Research located in Geneva, Switzerland. Cern is the home of the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator, known as the Large Hadron Collider, which lies in a tunnel 17 miles in circumference and 574 feet beneath the Franco-Swiss border. The recent recommissioning of the Large Hadron Collider and its upgrades make it more powerful and is where things get really interesting and controversial. Many people are concerned that CERN's new LHC research experiments, which include recreating the Big Bang and the many black holes, uncovering dimensions and a parallel universe, may have unintended consequences. Some people believe that the experiments may even open a portal to hell, releasing demons and alien life forms. So tonight's topic, CERN, recreating the Big Bang or opening a portal to hell. Get out your phones and text a friend or a family member and tell them Center Stage is discussing a topic that they definitely want to hear. If CERN is successful, they will create total chaos here on the earth. Imagine having the key to hell and actually using it. Well, that's exactly what's about to happen. Again, tonight's topic, CERN, recreating the Big Bang or opening the portal to hell. Listen, y'all, a disclaimer tonight. This topic is out of my area of expertise, over my pay grade, and totally out of my comfort zone. However, I promised myself when I started Center Stage in 2010 that I would never allow those factors to stop me from putting out information. So after tonight's show, I will give you everything I got. I suggest you then do your own research. Since the moment I booked this show and start basically settling on this was going to be our topic for this week, I've had a headache, and I'm a person who gets a headache once a year. So there definitely appears to be some demonic elements to this, which is very concerning to me. But we're going to talk more about that as we get into the show. But I see my co-host is here tonight. I see Mr. Mark Daniels. Good evening, Mark. How are you?
Good evening, Carrie. I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. You know, Mark, you've been doing research like I've been doing research on this Cern company. What are your thoughts before we begin on the company as a whole?
Well, I'm naturally skeptical, and it's hard for me to come to any solid conclusions about this. But without a doubt, I believe that there are reasons for people to be deeply concerned about what CERN is doing. And as this second run of CERN in the Large Hadron Collider progresses, the number of particles that are being smashed together will continue to increase. In a press release that was issued by CERN, there are some specific technical details that I can share with you. The press release says that as for any machine exploring a new energy frontier, operators at the LHC face many challenges on a daily basis. Since the start of Run 2, which is what they recently started, the first one was back in 2012, they have been gradually increasing the intensity of the LHC's two beams, which travel in opposite directions around the 17-mile ring at almost the speed of light. The LHC has run at the record high energy, with each beam containing up to 476 bunches of 100 billion protons, delivering collisions every 50 nanoseconds. In the coming days, in the coming days, the intensity should increase further with new rhythm of 25 nanoseconds after a planned technical stop in early September. Okay? So they've got a planned technical stop in early September. The teams will also be able to increase the number of bunches with the goal of reaching more than 2,000 bunches per beam by the end of 2015. And it goes on to say that during the hardware commissioning phase, we have learned to manage carefully the huge energy stored in the magnets. Now, with beam commissioning, we have to learn progressively how to store and handle the beam energy. And that was a quote from the Cern Director of Accelerators and Technology. He goes on to say that our goal for 2015 is to reach the nominal performance of the LHC at 13 tera electron volts so as to exploit its potential from 2016 to 2018. At full capacity, the Large Hadron Collider can smash proteins together at a rate of 1 billion per second. That is a number that is almost unimaginable. So my question is precisely what are they hoping to accomplish by this? You know, and most of the articles about the LHC in the mainstream media discuss mundane scientific research goals that don't really seem to justify all the time, effort, and money that are being expended. So could it be possible that the top officials at CERN actually have something else in mind? And this is what's really important. The director of research at CERN, physicist Sergio Bertolucci, has stated that the LHC may create a door to an extra dimension. According to him, something might come out of that door, or we might send something through it. So, and then another a top scientist at the Large Hadron Collider says that the Titanic machine may possibly create or discover previously unimagined scientific phenomena or unknown unknowns. For instance, an extra dimension. Then again, Sergio Bertolucci says, out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. So, but why create a portal to another dimension if he doesn't have any idea what we might encounter?
You know, that's the phenomenal aspect of this whole thing. I was trying to imagine, who would work at a place like this, and I can't imagine anyone who's Christian would, because understanding what they're trying to accomplish would go totally against Christianity. And so I was just trying to figure out what kind of person would apply for a job there and be comfortable and all I can think is the person has to be either agnostic or atheist. They have to have a real quest for the unknown, and they have to be real thrill seekers because, to be honest with you, I'm going to throw the race card in there. I bet you there's not one black employee there, not even in the kitchen, because I cannot imagine someone who really understood this African American would do this. I'm not even kidding. I just think the whole concept, even working in the building, sounds crazy, let alone to, be a part of the framework and the foundation and making this thing go. I just can't imagine. That's just me. I could be wrong. I just don't see it, Mark. I really don't.
Well,
we don't bungee jump. We don't jump out of planes very often, and we sure don't get with colliders trying to open up portals to hell. I'm just saying that's just I just had to throw that out there, y'all. But it's just what it is. But since Mark brought up the scientific element of it, Stephen Hawking, a physicist, stated that the acceleration of the God particle could cause time and space to collapse. Basically, he said the world. He said this world basically could collapse. I mean, the Earth and the whole universe. That's scary. I mean, Mark, that just blows my mind that that they know this and they still are moving forward, at record speed. That's crazy.
Well, I think it's important to put this in perspective. For instance, what Stephen Hawking said in his latest book, which is a collection of essays and of different scientists. What he says in the preface to the book is what a lot of people are referencing. And in what he's speaking of, and he said he's not at all saying that Cern has the capability of doing this. What he was talking about is this happening naturally in the universe. And so I think it's important because a lot of the controversy and some of the conspiracy theories that are out there, I think, is based largely on people's ignorance of physics. And I think it's also based on willful ignorance by some who are using this to make money. So I think that we need to keep that in perspective. I think the more
Mark, if you want to go there, though, I mean, literally the whole, theory of the Big Bang Theory, is a scientific theory, and it makes no sense. I mean, literally, if you look at just that, it makes no sense. So when you say, what's ridiculous and what isn't, you'd have to first understand what they're attempting to recreate. I mean, for those who don't know, the Big Bang Theory basically states that all current and past matter in the universe came into existence at the same time. At a point in time, about 13.7 billion years ago, all matter was compacted into a very small ball with infinite density, and intense heat caused a singularity. Suddenly, that singularity began to expand, and the universe came into being. That's the basic premise of the Big Bang Theory. So that said, how ridiculous is that? I'm just saying.
Well,
how ridiculous?
I don't know. For one thing, I don't think that the Big Bang Theory, of course, is a theory, and I think it does. There is some scientific evidence to support that theory, and it doesn't disprove the existence of a God. Now, it might change what we think of, how we think of God, but it doesn't change, or it doesn't prove that God doesn't exist. And I don't think there has been an attempt by science to disprove God. Most scientists say they couldn't disprove God. They can't prove that God exists, and they can't prove God doesn't exist.
But if no one was there but God, how can you definitively say the Big Bang is what happened? You know what I mean? Nobody can tell us but God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the Big Bang, but I'll just say that, like I said before, that it doesn't prove or disprove God, and God could actually have been the prime mover in causing the Big Bang, which created everything.
Okay. All right, then. Y'all just decide for yourself. One thing and I'm going to go back to the Big Bang for a minute. How, when you think about, again, no one was there but God, and you refer to the book of Genesis, and I had to go and actually get the Bible on this and really make it make sense to me. And so I took out the very first book of the Bible, which is Genesis, and I began at the very beginning. And it says, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Okay, so that's it. If you're a Christian, that's what happened. Now,
it sounds like a description of the Big Bang.
Well, no, it doesn't work. The Big Bang talks about a ball coming, just a tiny ball that was heated up to the point that it basically exploded, and then there we are.
Yeah, but I mean, what caused that to happen? One could say God.
That God spoke it into existence.
Right.
Okay.
So God is eternal, right? Most people understand God to be eternal. God the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Therefore, God could have been the prime mover that caused the Big Bang and caused everything to come into existence. And how exactly that happened, scientists don't know.
And that's the problem, because scientists want to be God. And so because of that, that fuels their quest for knowledge, you know, and I will go here for anyone who has a deep quest for knowledge. The Bible says if you want wisdom, all you have to do is ask, and he'll give it to you liberally. That's scripture. And so all of this quest to go and figure out all these things is just not meant to be on that level. I mean, God does not have to explain to man how he created anything. You know, all he has to explain to us is that he spoke it. Well, he didn't even have to do that, but he did. He stated that he spoke it into existence, and there it was. And so if God decided to change the way things are, all he has to do is speak it. So science and God are never going to line up, because science is based on a fact. And God, or the fact at the moment, and God does not deal in facts or science, because he creates whatever it is. All he has to do is speak it. That's the way I see that. So it's like a dog chasing his tail. This is ridiculous. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion on that. This is a dog chasing his tail. And it's just a bunch of very egotistical madmen who are wanting to be gods. And they're taking their opportunity to do this at the risk of humanity. That's my belief.
Well, see, I agree with you on one level. I think that there is that component where scientists are putting themselves in the position of what we think of as God. On the other hand, I think that the majority of scientists simply are trying to understand the universe, and of course they're accused of being, placing themselves in the position of God. And I don't think all scientists are doing that, but I certainly think that is a component, and it does appear that way, especially to a lot of people that are religious, for example.
Well, I guess when I say scientists, let me clarify that. These mad scientists at Cern. So I'm going to clarify that.
Well, speaking of CERN, let's talk about what CERN's purpose is, okay? What they say their purpose is. The main purpose of CERN's Large Hadron Collider, for example, is to study the birth of the universe, and the collisions that take place within the collider allow them a quick glimpse at certain phenomena that can only be witnessed when particles hit one another at incredibly high rates. The LHC has already been trying to detect many black holes, okay, but has come up empty-handed. So they have not yet discovered or been able to detect these many black holes. This is what would be expected if there are only 4 dimensions, since the energy required to produce black holes in 4 dimensions would be much larger than the energy that can be achieved at the LHC. So they really are not operating at that level. For example, in order to create the black holes, they would need energy on the scale of 10 to the 19th power giga electron volt. So that's 10 with 19 zeros after it. And the energy that the Large Hadron Collider is currently operating at is 4 tera electron volts, okay? 14 tera electron volts. Dimensions do exist. It is thought that they would lower the energy required to produce black holes to levels that the LHC can achieve. So that's saying that it is possible. And this happens because the gravity in our universe may somehow flow into the extra dimension, okay? That's what's causing it to, be able to operate at a lower energy level. As the LHC has so far not detected many black holes, it seems that extra dimensions do not exist, at least not at the energy scale that was tested. And so, by extension, the results do not support string theory or parallel universes either. But to get back to what I originally said was that what the main purpose of CERN is, at least what they say it is to study the birth of the universe. However, others say that the real purpose is to open a portal or a stargate, or a portal to what many think of as hell. So,
and I agree.
So that's where the controversy exists, right there.
I agree. Because, y'all, there's so many different levels of this. We said tonight we're going to deal with the spiritual, the scientific, and the metaphysical. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth around with that. But, one thing we know is that they have a mascot outside of their building, and it's of the goddess Shiva. She's a Hindu god of destruction, and it's placed right outside the entrance of the Hadron Colliders. So, I think one thing I've learned is nothing is by accident, and, nothing is just coincidental. It happened, and it was placed there for a reason, and I think it's symbolic of what they're trying to do. And so if you think that some company, with, all of these people with doctorate degrees are walking around, and they would just haphazardly put a deity out there by the name of Shiva, who's the goddess of destruction, I don't think so. And so I think that's...
I was just going to say on that point, I think it's important as I read a comment on the Cern's Facebook page by someone that was in kind of a conversation with someone else about that very issue. And what he said is that the Shiva statue was a gift from the Indian government. And Shiva is the god of, it goes on to say that Shiva is the god of destruction and creation, okay? And since particle accelerators both destroy and create particles, appropriate that they would have the statue of Shiva?
No.
Well, that's one explanation for it. I'm not saying that it's the real reason behind it. I mean, because you can go on. You can also talk about the fact that the logo for CERN contains the numbers 666. Why is that?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the thing is,
well, I was going to say there's a 13-minute YouTube video entitled CERN September 2015 Opening the Portal, and there's a guy that's in the video by the name of Jim Stanley, and he points those things out that we just discussed, along with the fact that the Large Hadron Collider is built on the site of an ancient town that was dedicated to Apollyon in Roman times. So what are we to make? So what are we to make of this?
I think.
I was just going to go on to say, are these scientists, these European scientists, knowingly or unknowingly messing around with some very dark forces?
I think they're knowingly.
Yeah. So, they may be knowingly. I don't think they're all knowing. There's there's about 2,500 scientists that actually work there at CERN on a regular basis, and that's just the staff. That's not including all the thousands of scientists around the world who go there or participate in the research in universities and so on and so forth. So there's a whole lot of scientists involved in what's going on there. There may be only a select few. If there is some sort of nefarious purpose behind what they're doing, what some people have suggested in the realm of conspiracy theories, etc., that they could be right. I don't know. And that's something you'll hear me say a lot throughout this show is I don't know.
And that's why I did the disclaimer at the beginning of the show. I am way over my pay grade tonight, and I know that. But I did do the research, and please feel free to go behind me and do your own research. But one thing I know from someone who's an atheist, and they told me this some years ago, that certain things have spirits attached to them. And so you have to even be careful of what you wear on your body because they have spirits. And so they were explaining to me that when you see people with Skull and Bones T-shirts and Skull and Bones earrings or skeletons on their clothing, or, around Halloween, we, may decorate with those things. Those things, even though they're man-made, they conjure up a certain spirit, a demonic spirit. And when you invite those things into your world, whether that's on your body or into your home or outside your home, that brings that presence into your space. And so I thought about that as I was researching this show, and I kept thinking all of these things that they have, like the goddess of destruction and the 666 and their logo and some of the other things that we will talk about tonight. It's like inviting the demonic realm. It's kind of like some of the hip hop stars that have all the demonic, things in their shows, and they're throwing up, certain signs of the Illuminati, and they're wearing the outfits that have the Illuminati logos. All that stuff conjures up spirits. And so I just cannot imagine that a company with as many educated people as Cern seems to have just walking around on a day-to-day basis would not know that they're tampering with the dark side. And one thing I know about tampering with the dark side from researching the New World Order and researching the Illuminati, when you play with the devil, he ain't playing with you, and you got to remember his only three things that he's known for is to kill, steal, and destroy. So anything he tells you is a lie. Okay, he's not going to fulfill whatever he tells you is not going to go right. And he's coming to kill, steal, and destroy. And so you got to think, if they're opening up a black hole, the abyss, if you will, what are you expecting to accomplish? I mean, the abyss is a bottomless pit. I mean, it's spoke of in the Bible. And so when you think about what they're doing on so many levels, it's very scary, because I'm going to deal a little bit with Scripture tonight, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but if you do, I'm sorry, but I'm going there. If you deal with 1 Corinthians 3:19, it tells you, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness. This is God talking. The wisdom of this world is foolishness. He said, before God. Well, it says the foolishness of this world is foolishness before God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So God sees what they're doing. And it's not like, He has blinders on and He can't stop it. They can do nothing that God does not allow them to do. So all of this wisdom and all these brilliant minds coming together to open up this black hole, God is not asleep at the wheel. And so that was just comforting just a little bit to know that. And then I started looking at some of the things about the bottomless pit. Y'all, that is sheer darkness. I mean, and what they're talking about doing, when you look at it from that aspect, I'm looking for my notes on it, it was terrifying, because the book of Revelation deals with the bottomless pit several times. I'm looking for my notes. I'm going to find them in a second. But another place in the Bible, Isaiah 55:8 says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So that's telling you that God is telling you getting on my level is not going to happen. So there's nothing that you can do. I mean, it's like a feeble-minded person, who doesn't understand that they're feeble-minded, and so our book knowledge does not compare to the wisdom of God. And so for us to in any way think that we can match the intellect of God is just mere foolishness. I mean, that's just how I see that, Mark. Do you see it like that?
Well, not exactly. I mean, I certainly can appreciate what you're saying, and I don't completely disagree with it. I think on some level it's true, but I also think that that we are here to use our minds and to explore the universe and to think and analyze and discover. And I think that that's a natural part of being human, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I think it complements one's spirituality, one's beliefs, religious beliefs. I think it's complementary. I don't see them as diametrically opposed.
Wow. Okay. Well, here we go.
But I can
basically.
But let me just add this. but I can certainly see where some individuals, scientists and others, that are agnostic or atheists can find themselves in the position that you described. And so, that can be detrimental in some ways to that individual. So it's not that I disagree with you. I just kind of see it from a little bit of a different perspective.
I know one thing. If you all, after the show, of course, go to Google Maps and put in, just as I'm saying this quote, put in the key to the abyss. Just type it in just like that in Google Maps, the key to the abyss. And what will pop up is Cern. So in religion, the abyss is considered the bottomless pit, and is also the chasm that may lead to the underworld or hell. The abyss is the abode of the dead, according to Romans 10:7, and the place where evil spirits are imprisoned. Okay, so if evil spirits and the dead are, in this abyss, why would we want to have the key to open it up? And even if we have the key, why would we open it up? So it then goes to this, that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and it made me wonder if this has got something to do with it too. Remember, Mark, you told us on a couple of shows back that the rich people are building bunkers in the Ozark Mountains, and, it's being said that they're running for shelter. Well, are they running there because they know this is about to happen? And so, therefore, because the elite know about this. There's just no question that they are not aware of Cern. And so, are they running to their bunkers because they know that this machine is about to open up a portal to hell and all hell is about to break loose? Because y'all got to remember, or maybe you don't remember, maybe you don't know this, I'll just say it like this. If you bring someone into your home that has a very bad aura, just bad vibe about them, just evil, just mean, just, the worst type of person. If you pay attention to your environment once they leave, that has conjured up that kind of element in your home. And so a lot of people, talk about, I don't let everybody come to my house because, some people have the wrong type of spirits attached to them. Well, that said, imagine if this portal to hell is opened up, and once it is, all of these demonic spirits are escaping hell. These fallen angels are escaping hell. What do you think they're going to come here to do rather than create chaos and hell for us here on earth? I mean, I just can't see it any other way, Mark. I really can't. It's just me.
Well, okay, so I'll take a stab at a couple of the things you said. Okay, so first of all, Google Maps, right? So I researched that. And what I discovered is that anyone can tag locations in Google Maps, okay? So what happens is that someone will tag Cern with some odd reference about, petting goats or the abyss or whatever. So then that way, whenever you go there and you type in those words, it's going to pull up Cern because they've tagged it to that particular search. And so that's how that occurs. So,
well, wait, let me pause you right there. So how do you know who tagged it? That doesn't mean that Cern themselves didn't tag it.
Well, no, it doesn't. I mean,
okay.
I don't know. I mean, that's another thing I don't know. All I'm telling you is that you can do that, and that would explain how you can put in these certain words. And a lot of people are told. So, in other words, these people who tag it then go and they write articles and stuff saying, go to Google Maps and tag and put in this words because they know it's tagged, and so thus you come up with Cern, and then that fuels the conspiracy theories. And so I'm just saying that's something that I researched, and that's what I found to be true.
And that's a possibility, but not for certain.
Right.
Okay.
And then you talked about the idea of whenever, you're around certain people and how that affects you, and that can be explained in a lot of different ways. I mean, definitely people that are operating on a lower frequency or are negative can have an effect on those around them. I mean, we're living in a electromagnetic field, and so there's the energies that interact with each other. And I'm not able to explain it in full detail, but I'll just say that certainly we know that being around people that are negative, that are operating on a low frequency, has an effect upon those around them, just like it being around someone that's positive and that has a lot of positive energy, and operating on a higher frequency can impact those that maybe are operating on a lower frequency.
But then that makes my point then, though. The energy attaches itself to you, negative or positive. So if we're releasing demons to the earth, what type of energy can we expect to come from them? Negative.
Well, I mean, that's certainly the what most people perceive as being demons, as being something, negative, evil, or whatever. So, yeah, it all depends on what one's idea of those things are, And
okay,
that's another. I just don't know.
Okay, and I can respect that. I can respect that. Let's deal with the fact that Revelations 11 and 7, and in Revelations 9 and 11, and Revelations 17 and 8 all deal with the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit is considered the abyss, okay? If you go, and I'm just going to read one, and the others you all can read at a later time. Again, that was Revelations 11 and 7, Revelations 11 and 7, Revelations 9 and 11, and Revelations 17 and 8. But I'm just going to read the first one, which is Revelations 11 and 7. And what it says is, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. Okay, so let's just say I don't want no demons coming out of the bottomless pit at any given time. So that's just my theory on that. I would question, our government is very good at sticking their noses in other people's business. So why hasn't our government gone over to them and said, this is not acceptable, it's a threat to humanity, and you can't do this? Any good answers? Probably because we're in on it, or we are in agreement with it, or, maybe we're just as curious as, and when I say we, not me, but we as in our government, is just as curious as Cern to open up this portal and see what comes out. But I think this is some of the scariest stuff I've read in a long time. And it had, like I said in the research, it had a very heavy and demonic effect. Because you got to realize you're conjuring up some strange thinking. It's just one of those things that just stumps you. With all that we got going on in the world, the last thing we need is total chaos. And I just, and not only, y'all, are they talking about demons, they're possibly going to be releasing aliens. And I'm not saying aliens are a bad thing. I don't know anything about aliens. We're going to do a show on it real soon. But I just think, again, if it's locked somewhere, it may be for a reason. And so I just don't understand opening up a portal and not knowing, first of all, where it takes you or what exactly is going to come out. I think that's the part that bothers me the most, Mark. If they could tell us with 100-degree certainty that, okay, when we open this up, we know what's behind that door number 1 is, and so therefore we're perfectly okay and we know it's harmless and it's not potentially deadly. But I think as the scripture just said, some of that stuff's going to kill us, and I think it is potentially deadly.
Well, I think let me just say this. What I would encourage people to do, like you said at the beginning of the show, is to research this for themselves, right? And some of the things that some of the research terms that people can research is, in addition to CERN in general and the Large Hadron Collider, is words such as Higgs field, Higgs boson, dark matter, what the word hadron actually means, black hole, parallel universe, particle physics, which is really that's the essence. Particle physics is the essence of what's happening at CERN, and it's all based on what's called the Standard Model theory and the supersymmetry theory, and then of course researching dark matter, as I mentioned before, or antimatter. And if you research some of those things, then you can begin to get a better idea of at least what they're saying is happening there, right? And, for example, the Standard Model is the theory that accounts for the behavior of fundamental particles of matter and the interactions that work between them. And then when you talk about dark matter, for example, supersymmetry is like one possible candidate for dark matter, and supersymmetry is a theory that predicts a range of so far unobserved particles that could make up to 27% of the universe composed of dark matter. And whenever they did the first run of the LHC experiments, they ruled out the number of supersymmetric models, but more possibilities will be within reach, they say, in the second run. And the other thing is they're also planning on even larger particle accelerator by the year 2026. That's even more powerful. So what I'm saying is, if eventually there may be room for more concern. I just don't see it now. I just don't see, based on what I know, and that's quite limited, but what I know and what I've studied, what I've researched, or especially during this past week, I just don't see that they have the capacity for it unless there's information that's not been made available to the public.
Okay, I can respect that.
And that's possible. So I'm not ruling out anything you're saying. I'm just simply saying that I think a lot of people, are operating are looking at this and concerned about it before they've gone and actually got a basic understanding of physics, and in particular particle physics. And so what at least they're saying that they're doing there, get a good idea of that, and then you'll be better equipped to look at some of these theories that people have about what could possibly go wrong there. I mean, because even leading scientists are saying that they have some concerns.
I agree. I looked at some of the comments on Cern's Facebook page, and obviously, there's thousands of comments, but obviously there are some people who, really feel strongly that something's wrong. Bridget Guillory posted a comment August 17th, and she said there's a reason that God placed a veil from one dimension to the next. What lies beyond this veil is more than mere aliens, but rulers of darkness that will alter all of our lives forever. But it is also fulfillment of Bible prophecy and will come to pass. Even Einstein warned against this, and it will destroy the world. All the darkness of this dimension that CERN is going to give an entry into Earth is going to take over the hearts and minds of the people, causing mass confusion and chaos such as we have never seen before. The only way we're going to overcome this is through the power of the Holy Spirit and the blood of Jesus Christ. Not acting like it. It has to be in our hearts. We have to do everything we can to prepare now through prayer, fasting, and consumption of the Word of God so we will be strong enough to endure until the end. To fight the good fight of faith. I agree with that young lady. I absolutely agree with everything she said. I think this is a spiritual fight that's deeper than anything maybe we've seen before, and it's not going to be a fight in which we can fight in the natural, because you cannot fight demons in the natural. That's one thing I do know. You cannot fight a demon in the natural. And so you will have to know God. You'll have to know through fasting and prayer and His Word how to protect yourself. Let's go to the phone line, 314-306. Good evening. You're on Center Stage. 314-306. Good evening.
Good evening. It's been a while. Actually, I haven't been on at all. And I just want to shed some light on what's going on now. I'm in St. Louis, Ashley, Florissant, Missouri.
Okay.
And I didn't know what the topic was because I just came in online. And what's going on in the area I'm living in, the ATM machines are down. You cannot buy any groceries unless you have cash. And also some neighbors were saying, I'm in a senior citizen building, so they were dropping their family off, and they said we couldn't get gas unless we had cash. So I'm going to I did inform some of my relatives, which is my grandkids, and to be aware, if you got money in the bank, take it out, because the ATMs are down.
And that's in St. Louis, Missouri?
Yes, I'm in Florissant, which is...
You in Florissant. Oh, my goodness.
Florissant.
And this started happening effective when?
This started actually last week when I went to the grocery store, a well-known grocery store. There were it was early evening. It wasn't even 6 o'clock. And there were two check cashiers that said, we're only taking cash. And so I was like, that's kind of weird. So then this week, I went to a store. It was the same, but I didn't, the few items I had, I didn't really, I didn't need to use the credit card, but debit card. And there were some people coming to the building where I live, and they said, well, I went to the store, and I tried to use my debit card to buy food, and I had to put everything back because I have no cash. So this started today between 4 and 5 in the evening, and the traffic it was during the rush hour, and I guess people were driving around hastily. They couldn't buy gas without cash, and so it's starting to happen now.
Wow, thank you so much for calling in.
So I thought I'd shed light on that, right. I thought I'd call in and shed light on that.
Did it cause any type of panic? I mean, because
Yes, there's panic. Like I'm at home, and I haven't really gone out today. So when I was sitting outside, just getting some fresh air, it wasn't really hot today. There were people coming to drop their family off, and they were telling us, and everybody. One lady said everybody's in a panic right now. You can't, no ATMs are used. It's not being used at all. It's nothing coming out.
Oh, my goodness. So when you are at the grocery store and they tell you that you could only use cash, did they say why you could only use cash?
No, there weren't. The cashiers had just left their station. And I was like, that's also strange. Now, this was last week, and, I kind of like, is something starting to happen already to myself? And I've been talking to people, letting them know, because a lot of people don't pay attention to what's going on in the world. They're kind of closed mind on what's really happening. Someone got murdered last week. I don't even want to watch news anymore. You got to keep informed because you're still alive and you're living in this world.
Right. Lindsey Williams put out this week September dates of significance. And y'all, I question whether they were going to wait until, because,
I read your post. I read your post as far as what's going on in September. and September hasn't arrived yet.
Well, I wouldn't think that they will let us know exactly the time.
When,
I question whether or not they would accelerate it just to not be totally transparent.
Panic mode, right.
Right.
Well, I've been watching CNN for the past 3 hours, and they've shown nothing. They're only talking about Hillary and Trump, and now they're basically just talking about the storm, the Erica hurricane is coming in Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
So other than that, they haven't even touched upon the stock. I did notice that China stock went down 1,000 points Wednesday in 3 minutes.
Wow. It's over.
I
hate to be doom and gloom, but y'all, it's time to wake up. I mean, we're waiting for God to save us, and we have not done any preparation, and I think that's a terrible thing. I think shame on you, especially if you got children and you got people depending on you, that you have done nothing. I think that's absolutely terrible, not to have additional food and water and make some form of an exit plan if something goes down. I think all of those things should be on the table and being discussed daily. Yeah, I really do. Hold on, caller. I'm going to leave your phone line open, and we're going to go to area code 860-212. Good evening. You're on Center Stage.
Hello.
Good evening.
What's tonight's topic?
Hello.
Hello. What's tonight's topic, Carrie Hines?
Oh, tonight's topic is we're talking about a company out of Switzerland by the name of Cern. And Cern, you'd have to read the description and kind of get an idea of it. But Cern, the topic tonight is Cern recreating the Big Bang or opening a portal to hell. So there are some mad scientists, I like to call them, who are trying to open up a portal and see what's behind it. And, allegedly there's going to be demons and aliens coming from that portal and fallen angels and everything else. So that is actually in play and may happen as early as in a couple of days because we're talking September. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Let me give you an idea of what's going on in September, though. Mark, do you have that in front of you, what Lindsey Williams said about September? Okay, I got it here. It says, can you pull it up? There's so much going on in the month of September. It's crazy. I mean, and it cannot be coincidental. We know that the Pope's coming, y'all. We know that the Pope, for the first time, is coming to Washington to see the president. He's going to go to the UN, and he's also going to speak with Congress. Never been done before. So we got a whole lot of stuff that's happening just in the month of September that is just very, very, very concerning. And so you just have to wonder, I don't wonder. I know there's no such thing as a coincidence. And so it's very ironic that Jade Helm 15, that military exercise that has in its description mastering the human domain, is due to conclude the 15th of September. It's been going on since July 15th. A lot going on, y'all. So, why did they gear that up?
I've got the list here.
Okay, read that list, Mark, if you will.
Okay, so these are dates of significance according to Lindsey Williams. Right. 2015 has been declared the International Year of Light by Cern. Lucifer is the light bearer, the morning star, and Cern is the key. Number one, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky stated that the Messiah, or the Antichrist, will be returning at the end of the sabbatical year, which is the 29th day of Elul, which falls on Saturday, September the 12th. Number two, Madonna. There's a Madonna concert in Washington, D.C. at the Verizon Center. The opening theme is the desecration of the Bible and the arrival of fallen angels, and that's on September the 12th. Number three, this is a Shemitah year. The final date of this 7-year cycle ends around September the 13th. Number four, Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, the Jewish New Year, the anniversary of the creation of Adam and Eve, sounding the shofar. That's September the 13th through the 15th. And the 576 Anno Lucius, which is the year of Lucifer, begins September the 14th. Number 6, the UN resolution for Palestine to become a state is September the 15th. And number 7 is Jade Helm 15, which began on July 15th, publicly ends on September the 15th. Then there's a Madonna concert again in New York, Madison Square Garden, and the opening theme for it is the desecration of the bride and the arrival of fallen angels, September the 16th through the 17th. Number 9 is the International Day of Peace. Of course, the Bible speaks of peace and safety, and there's a warning in the Bible about when they start speaking of peace and safety, what will come after that. Now, the Day of Atonement begins just hours after the International Day of Peace is completed. And he puts a question mark on the word sudden destruction, and that's September the 21st. Also, it's the year of Jubilee, the 70th year of Jubilee, which begins September the 23rd. And then there's the Mecca pilgrimage, also known as the Hajj, and the Day of Arafat, representing standing of the Day of Resurrection, waiting for judgment and the gates of heaven to open. That's September the 22nd through the 23rd. Then he's got the Eid al-Adha, which is the Feast of Sacrifice. Muslim time of sacrifice is September 23rd to the 26th. In 2016, the Muslim Feast of Sacrifice falls on September the 11th. And then he's got June 7th, 1967, falls in the Hebrew year 5727. Adding 49 prophetic years to this date, we arrive in the Hebrew year 5776. Now, I did mention that earlier as the Anno Lucius, the year of Lucifer. But here it says it's the in 2015 on the Gregorian calendar correlates with the Hebrew year of 5776. If one counts exactly 49 360-day prophetic years, which is 17,640 days from the June 7th, 1967 date of Jerusalem's recapture, we arrive at September the 23rd, again, the Day of Atonement, which is Yom Kippur. Now, the Day of Atonement is on the 266th day of 2015. 260 days is the earliest a woman's pregnancy is considered full term. And it just so happens that I just thought about this, is that the Pope's visit, he's the 266th Pope, and he's going to be visiting on the 266th day of the year.
Yes.
Okay? It's also 260 days is the gestation period for, a birth.
260.
The Pope was elected on March 14th, 2014. It is exactly 923 days from this date to September the 23rd. So 923. Number 14, the Mayan cycle was 5,126 years. From September the 11th, 2001 to September the 23rd, 2015, there are exactly 5,126. Then he says Cern, Switzerland, which is what we're talking about tonight, is firing at full power, crossing over, opening portals from September the 23rd to the 24th. So they'll be firing at full power on those days. There's another Madonna concert in Philadelphia. The opening theme is the desecration of the bride and the arrival of fallen angels. So that's on 3 different concerts she's doing. And that one's in September, and that's this one, September the 24th. The Pope will be addressing the U.S. Congress on September the 24th, the first time in world history. The French Prime Minister and John Kerry, in a speech recently, or back in 2014 in May, talked about the end of the 500-day climate chaos. In other words, he said that we have 500 days until climate chaos, or something along those lines. And that was declared on May 13, 2014. And 500 days from that is September the 25th. The Pope will address the United Nations General Assembly of World Leaders to talk about sustainable development. This is the announcement of unifying the world laws, the environment, religions, and distribution of wealth. In other words, the New World Order. He will also be issuing an encyclical, which is a major thing, on September the 25th. An encyclical is really something that the Pope writes to the Catholics, and that they usually pay a lot of attention to, so it'll be important. The Pope will be holding Mass at Madison Square Garden in New York City at 6 p.m. on September the 25th. Now, a lot of people are familiar with the recent movie called Tomorrowland, I believe. Well, the Tomorrow World Tomorrowland Festival, celebrating false love and light, keys, Antichrist, opening gates and portals, Atlanta, Georgia, on September the 25th through the 27th. The Pope will be visiting the Church of Philadelphia, and this church visit has significance on September the 26th. The Feast of Tabernacles, the holiday of Sukkot, Feast of the Nations, the Season of Joy is September the 27th through October the 5th. The fourth blood moon falls on September the 28th. Beginning, first bookend for the collapse of the U.S. dollar, September 2015, which has already begun, as we know. The Chinese President Xi Jinping to visit the U.S. in September, the date not yet disclosed. Parable of the fig tree. The average generation lasts 67 years, and some people have linked the budding of the fig tree to the birth of the nation of Israel in 1948. If you add 1948 and 67, you arrive at the year 2015. The Mahdi, which is the Muslim Messiah, Muslim clerics are predicting the return of the Mahdi September 2015. The Muslims have a prophecy of old written by the Islamic prophet Ibn Abi Talib, which states that just before the coming of the Mahdi, a tall black man will rise up to take command of the West, and he will command the most powerful army on earth. And that's it.
Wow. So, and y'all see, September is a whammy, an action-packed month. So we're right on the heels of it. This is the 28th of August. So you can definitely probably start expecting some stuff to start occurring. I did expect that people wouldn't be able to use a credit card so soon, but, you know, anything is possible right through here, y'all. So just be aware. And those dates are posted on the Facebook page of this event, Cern Recreating the Big Bang or Opening a Portal to Hell. So if you all would like to copy those dates for yourself and have the information.
I already have.
Oh, you
I wanted to briefly comment on the caller's report from Missouri and say that there's a couple of different possibilities there, right? It could just be, something that just happens as the normal course of events. If it's not unusual for, computers to go down and for, people not to be able to access their money temporarily. On another possibility is that it's a dry run to see how people respond.
Yeah. Well, that's my feeling exactly.
Yeah, so,
this is not good as they say. The revolution will not be televised.
Right. Well, I would encourage you to make contact with your mayor or someone like that and see if there's some sort of more reasonable explanation. If not, then we, and of course they'll find a way to explain it away if it is a dry run. So we know what happened. We know what happened in Hurricane Katrina whenever they used it as a dry run to see how people respond to them taking their guns away.
Well, they've been
Mark,
doing
she just told you that the people weren't able to get gas either.
They weren't able to what?
The people weren't able to get gas either.
Yeah,
no, you had to have cash.
Yeah, well,
cash only.
That sounds like that makes it even more questionable. The fact
well, let me ask you this: what part of town? You said this was express.
Let me just say this, because it wasn't just the ATMs, it wasn't just the stores, it was the gas stations too. So you've got three different
and they
places.
said it was all of Missouri.
Right.
All of Missouri.
What the lady said. Yeah, that's what the lady said at the grocery store when the lady
that sounds like an attack on the grid.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. So that is, I can't believe I did that.
When you were talking, it's too much. I don't believe in coincidence.
Well, when you were talking about that, I went online and did some searches to see if I could find any news reports about it, and I found nothing.
I found nothing on the news. Now, I'm going to certainly be aware of the 9 o'clock and the 10 o'clock p.m. news to see if they're going to say anything. CNN, whatever's been happening in St. Louis because of Ferguson, CNN comes in right away and, as far as the deaths and the children getting killed and all. And they usually weigh on any kind of situation in St. Louis ever since Ferguson right away. I've seen nothing.
Really?
Now I'm gonna.
And there's a lot of people that live in the Ferguson area.
I'm like 15 minutes away from there.
You're okay, really? And so that's in the Florissant area, not too far from Ferguson.
Yeah.
Florissant. Okay, Florissant. Not too. Okay, listen. If somebody lives in the St. Louis area, give her some heads up as to what's going on. Because here in Texas, we haven't had any problems like that. But not to say it's not coming. And I definitely believe that anything could go on right through here.
Right.
But thank you so much for letting us know. And like I said, if anybody's in the St. Louis, Ferguson, Florissant area who knows something about what she's going through, give us a call and let us know what you know.
And can I pose a question to the panel? Can I pose a question to the panel? That because we are aware of what's going on in the world, and there's people that aren't, that these people that we are, if we can start a prayer every day and every night.
Amen. Amen. You know what? And I agree. You know what? I will touch and agree with you on that. I think a certain time every day, 12 noon, 6 o'clock at night, probably would not be a bad idea for people maybe, in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening, because I think it's definitely going to take prayer and fasting to push this thing back. I definitely agree with that.
Because I was going to go on Facebook and, there's so much on Facebook that's so irrelevant to what's going on in this time of 2015. It's pitiful.
Right.
So
you post that, and I definitely will join you. Post it on, tag me on it, and I definitely feel like that's needed, and will definitely join in.
Thank you so much, and God bless everyone.
Thank you. And God bless you too. Y'all, there's just so much going on, and so that's something else to think about. Y'all, if they already hidden, grocery stores and gas stations, what is to come. But someone said something, and I have to agree. They said only Satan would want to destroy the earth because he knows that his time is short, but at the same time, he wants his army in. And so I can definitely imagine, all you people that sold your soul to the devil for a little cash, he's coming back to get his. He's not going to let you, get away with making an oath to him, and the only person who can save you from something like that is God. But the devil definitely, if you made any kind of pact with him, he's definitely looking for every opportunity to to get you. So that's just something to think about. But really, you have to just wonder, what type of logical person would think really that this was a good idea. I saw something on the website too, y'all. I want to bring to y'all's attention. And listen, if you got some fears about this or some concerns, or about it from a metaphysical stance, or from a religious stance, or from a scientific stance, call in tonight, because Mark and I are very transparent. This is over our pay grade. So tonight we're just passing on information. We are not claiming to be experts in any of this. So everything I tell you tonight, y'all, is completely research. Not anything that Carrie knows with 100% certainty herself, but just things that I found in research. But I did find this on a website that really, really was interesting. It said Cern was scheduled to start its faster level of firing on Friday the 13th of March. That was March this year. And subsequently was due to be ramped up during the spring. Let me go back. It says Cern was scheduled to start its faster level of firing on Friday the 13th day of March, and subsequently was due to be ramped up during the spring equinox, March 20th, 2015. Coincidentally, and we know there are no coincidences, coincidentally, at the time, there was a solar eclipse. Throughout history, we have seen that equinoxes, solstices, new moons, and solar eclipses are used as powerful black magic ritual dates. Okay? Again, having a demonic realm. And I get choked up just trying to say this. I got all kind of choked up trying to say that stuff, y'all. I mean, because it's so demonic. But, there's a lot of people who watch solar eclipses and all of that. But from what they're seeing, that I guess witches and people who dabble on the dark side, they use these dates to coincide with evil, and I can totally believe that. And so all of these coincidences with their dates, that they're using to do certain things, the 666 being in their logo, the fact that they have Shiva, the goddess of destruction, right outside their front door, I don't think any of that is by coincidence. And I think the fact that they're trying to tap into the black hole and see what's behind that and open up a portal, to what I would consider hell, really speaks volumes to there's a demonic tint to this organization. Mark, you would agree with that, right?
Well,
we can't agree with that, right?
Well, one thing that I would agree with, I think that a lot of the ruling elites are cultists, and I think that they use these symbols and rituals because they have a certain belief system, and it's diametrically opposed to, for instance, the Christian belief system, or even the Muslim belief system in most mainstream religions. These are occultists, and so you're going to see a lot of that. Now, in relationship to CERN, I tend to think that there are occultists that are involved in that, and so you'll see a lot of the same sort of symbolism, and they'll be timing certain things that they do, like you mentioned, to coincide with like the spring equinox or the solstice, and those types of things. So they're definitely engaged in ritual. That sort of thing kind of fuels a lot of the conspiracy theories about what's happening there and in other things that they're doing. So, but also I think that a lot of it is for PR too. I think that the more that they can get people's attention, the more people will go and research and learn more about it and have a better understanding of science. So, for instance, the God particle. People refer to the particle known as the Higgs boson as the God particle. Well, that came about because there was a scientist that wrote a book, and the publishers decided to use the term God particle as a PR stunt to get people's attention. So you have to keep that in mind as well.
But Mark, you know what, and I can agree to a point, but again, I will reiterate, if you play with the devil, he is not playing with you. Okay? He does not play. And so for someone to use symbolisms connected to evil and Satan, you're fooling yourself. I mean, you're absolutely fooling yourself to think that it's a play toy. So I just think they're way too smart for that. And so I think to give them a pass on that, I don't agree. You know, someone, I'm going to put that out there, I just don't agree with that. But someone made a comment too, Mark, that I kind of agree with. They said, you know, this is just my observation. They said, but from what I can tell, CERN could be being used to open a portal for escape either through creating an artificial stargate or by trying to shift the pole of the planet once again to line up with the prior connection with the astral world and the stargate that once allowed travel through the underworld. One would think that if this super collider is successful in opening the gate to the underworld, that all hell will break loose. I think they're right. I think they're so right. That's scary. I think they are so right. And you just wonder, what that's all about. Is anybody familiar with Osiris? Are you familiar with Osiris, Mark? Mark must not be familiar with Osiris, but I'll tell y'all.
I was muted, but I'm somewhat familiar with Osiris, Horus, Isis. So I think Osiris and Isis were the parents of Horus, and so this is a Greek mythology, a Greek myth. But go ahead.
Okay.
Tell us what you have about it.
Okay, I'll tell you what I read about it, what I know about it. But it said, according to researcher William Henry, the ancient Egyptian object named Tawar, a.k.a. Osiris device, was a Stargate machine capable to open wormholes or dimensional openings used by Seth and Osiris to travel across the underworld. Okay, the underworld. The wormhole model proposed by physicist Kurt Gödel is identical, to the boat of million years created by the Osiris device. The Tawar could produce a huge amount of energy, enough to bend the space, forming two light cones. Interconnected time tunnel where matter could pass. Now, y'all, this is all over my head, so trust me, I'm right there with you. But this is where it gets crazy. Connected again to the dark side. Osiris, remember, we just said that he's traveling in the underworld. Well, how do I pronounce it? Osiris? Osiris was an Egyptian god. Basically, and Mark, you're saying it's a myth, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was. It's an ancient myth, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a myth.
The original. What you're talking about is something different, but it's based upon. It sounds like it's kind of based upon the myth of Osiris, Seth, Isis, Horus, all of that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, follow me. It's a myth, but these people at Cern have recreated this myth and brought it to life. Osiris was an Egyptian god usually identified as the god of the afterlife, the underworld, and the dead. Osiris was at times considered the oldest son of the earth god Geb. Osiris was considered not only a merciful judge of the dead in the afterlife, but also the underworld agency that granted all life. Okay, follow me. So if this is a myth about this person or this god that dealt with all of this underworld stuff and talked about traveling in the underworld, why then are we creating a machine identical to this myth? Why would we take a myth that's so dark and bring life to it? That's evil. I mean, for you people that follow Harry Potter, I don't, because I think it has a demonic element to it, and I think it opened up children to witches and wizards and people like that in the underworld in a very, very seductive and clever way. And I think I would not take the myth of Harry Potter and recreate it today and expect a good result, because I'm opening up a portal to the satanic. Even though it's very cleverly written, in children's books, it's still dealing with the dark side and spells and witches and potions and da-da-da-da-da. Well, same applies to what Cern has done. If they've taken a myth, the myth of Osiris, and recreated the machine, the Osiris device, identically, and now they have this Hadron Collider that does exactly what Osiris' device is supposed to do. Mark, I'm sorry, that's demonic.
Well,
that's just me.
I don't know what the veracity of all that you read is. I have no idea. But if it's true, the thing about it is there's so much out there that people are saying that I'm just very skeptical. I have a hard time. I'm just not convinced.
Okay, and you know what? The thing is, not to be convinced is fine, but at the same time, we only got a couple of days to figure this thing out, y'all. I mean, I will leave this show tonight still, in a real gray area as to exactly what's about to happen, because I just cannot imagine that our government knows about this company and they're not doing anything about it. Why is it? Obviously, there's a blackout on it because you hadn't heard about it on the news, and I hadn't heard about it on the news, and Mark hadn't heard about it on the news because it is not on the news. Mainstream media is not reporting that. So that would tell you that there are some very deep pockets financing that who don't want the information made public. Would you agree with that, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's 21 nations that are currently members, directly involved in funding Cern. And in addition to the 21 nations, there's many other nations that are providing funding as well that are not considered partners or members. So they have an agreement with them to fund. Even the United States has provided funding to Cern, and quite a bit of funding, as a matter of fact. And so there's billions of dollars involved in this project. And so, but I tend to think that it's not for nefarious purposes, but it could be. And so what I encourage people to use is to put on their critical thinking hat and to look at it both from what they're telling us it is and study and get a better understanding of physics and what that's all about. And then also you can then look at some of the other theories that are out there and based upon your understanding of physics, make a decision about whether or not those theories make sense to you.
Okay. I'm going to play on words for a second because, Mark is obviously playing devil's advocate tonight, and that's okay.
Is that what I'm doing?
He's doing listening. But y'all better listen. Y'all better be paying attention because not that Mark isn't, he obviously believes what he believes, but at the same time,
I will say this. I'm a proud conspiracy theorist, okay? I love conspiracies. I study them all the time. I've been doing so since about 2010, and I love it. But I think it's important to be skeptical. I think it's important to use your critical thinking skills and to question everything, especially your government.
I agree. And listen, I'm going to play on words for a minute here, y'all, and y'all follow me if you can. My discernment tells me I have reason to be concerned. So I'm going to say use your discernment to be concerned that this may be a con from Cern to confuse us all.
That was good. I like that.
I'm being silly, y'all.
Concern. Yes,
I'm sorry, y'all.
Concern. Okay, we get it. That was good.
You with me? You with me? Okay.
I'm with you.
You with me? Okay. So I would suggest realize this is concern, and that we should realize that anything this dark is going to have a veil of secrecy. And that said, on the serious side, they're not going to disclose to us what they're really trying to do, okay? And so would you really tell the world that you're trying to open up the portal to hell? No, okay? Because they know if the world knew, especially the religious community, understood that there was a company about to open the gates of hell, all hell would break loose. And we're just days away, and the religious community is not talking about this. So what's wrong with that picture? So obviously it has been done, with a large degree of secrecy because nobody's talking about it. And so Center Stage does not mind being the first out the gate to talk about to talk about Cern on Blog Talk Radio because, again, I'm coming out here tonight, transparent, telling y'all I don't know everything. There's more questions than I have answers tonight. But what I am doing is disclosing, and Mark is doing, is disclosing what we do know and suggesting that everyone pay close attention and do some research yourself. There's plenty about it on YouTube. There's plenty about it on the web that you can go and just learn so much about what's going on. But at the same time, we only got days to figure out, where this is all headed. And the thing is, if it is headed to, this company getting ready to stick a key into hell, what can we do to stop it? That's the crazy thing. Who do you tell? When you say how many nations are on board now, really, Mark, how many nations are we talking?
Well, there's at least 21 that are directly involved that are considered partners or members of CERN.
And the crazy thing is there's possible some of their offices or buildings here in the United States. So that was some information.
We need to keep in mind, too, that CERN is not the only research laboratory that are doing these types of experiments. It just happens to own the largest hadron collider. Okay? And so what they're doing, is a lot more interesting as a result than what some of the other laboratories are doing. But this has been going on for a long time, and CERN was actually founded initially a provisional, CERN was set up in 1952, but the actual CERN organization was founded in 1954. And so, and the only thing of any significance that they've discovered is that there was a theory that was proposed by a scientist by the name of Higgs, and he developed a theory called the Higgs boson theory, and what they've been able to do, I think around 2012, is when they actually were able to find what he had proposed in his theory that's known as the Higgs boson particle. And that is very significant, but yet even though they think they have found the Higgs boson, and it looks like what they think is the Higgs boson, they're not completely certain, so further study is necessary in order to make sure of that. So if you really want to understand what they're doing, I would suggest that you first look at what's called the standard model theory, and then look at the Higgs field and the Higgs boson, and that will give you kind of an idea of what the research is about.
Well, I agree. Y'all, and by the way, the Big Bang Theory, or the Big Bang, is one of the most important theories in astronomy. Okay. That said, as usual, the majority of humanity has no idea the true threat of CERN and how it is trying to be used and I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try to say it right, the Draco-Anaconus war on human consciousness. The mainstream media is basically programming humanity to assure them that the investment of billions of dollars for a particle accelerator is necessary in order to advance scientific knowledge of our origins out of dark matter. What we are really facing is a final attempt by the madmen behind the curtain to reset the world in a hit-and-run scenario. That's what someone posted, y'all. And then it goes on to say CERN was turned on 75% capacity on December 21st, 2012, and was forced offline due to technical issues. But they said, isn't it interesting that was the New Age planned day of ascension? I mean, so all of these, I don't know, alleged just connections to the dark side and just Mark, I just don't think it's coincidental. I'm just going to go there. I just don't think it's coincidental. And the last thing I want to say that this person posted is that there are reports about the area around Cern in Switzerland that people are saying that they're able to see demons and other beings of another realm, and it's at its highest capacity. So even what they're doing now, not revved up to 100% capacity, is already manifesting things from the dark side. So imagine once they crank this monster of a hadron collider up to 100% capacity, and I wish y'all could see me working my arms. I can just imagine once this thing is, just imagine a bicycle with the wheel going round and round as fast as it can go. Just imagine what's going to happen when they crank that thing up 100%. What kind of demonic elements are going to be flying out of that hole? I mean, you judge for yourself, but that sounds like some evil I don't want to be nowhere near. But when you open up the demonic realm, you know, what do you expect? Remember in the Bible when it talks about Jesus casting out the devil out of the man, and when he cast the devil out of the man, that the devils told Jesus, suffer us not to leave the region. And so they left the man and went into the swine, and the swine then took off and drowned themselves. Isn't that the way the story goes, Mark? I think it is. But that said, that's just how crazy I can see things going. Imagine, you know, follow my scenario. Jesus cast the demons out, and the demons, you know, are looking for a home. That's one thing about demons, y'all. When they leave one location, they're looking for a new destination. So are they going to now basically take over people's bodies? Because when the demons was cast out of the man, they went into the swine because they had to have a new location. So is that what's about to happen to us, Mark?
I don't know. I mean, I really just don't know. Again, I have to say I remain very skeptical when it concerns those matters.
Okay.
I certainly wish I did. I do.
But remember.
One thing I will say is that there's, with anything, there's the story, there's the real story, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And there's the cover story, right?
Ooh,
and so,
true.
yeah, so, you know, I tend to be, at this point in my life, much more skeptical and conservative when it comes to dealing with a lot of these conspiracy theories, because there's so much out there that is just totally, in my opinion, unbelievable, you know, but I don't rule out anything, you know, anything's possible.
Well, did we determine who's funding their operation? Is it our tax dollars? Did we figure that out?
Well, yeah. I mean, most of their funding is coming. They have some, you know, private funding from individuals that are wealthy, but most of their funding is coming from governments. And so, if it's coming from government,
y'all hear that?
it's coming.
Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
That's
so yeah,
crazy.
we're funding it. Although the United States, I will say this: the United States is not a what they call, I think, a member. And I think the United States, the amount of money that the United States has given them is minuscule compared to what their overall budget is.
You know what? Just the fact that governments would be a part of this, again, speaks evil. But you all, again, remember we're talking about, you know, Illuminati, you know, devil stuff, demonic stuff. When you think about it on that level, just on that level alone, it's scary. And the fact that everything about it is secretive. And you got to remember that under the New World Order, they need 5 billion people gone. So if opening up these demons and these demons finding new homes, now, because you got to remember, in a lot of cases, when this demonic element takes over your body, all bets are off. Will he make you kill yourself? Will he make you kill somebody? Because it's pure evil. I mean, will they be rapists? All of this is the unknown. And so you got to remember that the New World Order says that 5 billion people got to leave here. And so that's like by any means necessary. And so are the elites running to the bunkers, getting ready to hide because they know these demons are going to be out here killing people? I mean, will crime take on, this new life in terms of more murders, more assaults? We don't even know. And so right now this is just absolutely chartering into, we're going into uncharted waters, probably times worse than anything we can even imagine. And most of us aren't even aware of what Cern is. So I would say everybody that leaves the show tonight, go look it up and research it for yourself, and then tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your coworkers about Cern, because there's only weeks before this may jump off, and then we don't even know. It may come sooner than we think. So we may not even have as much time as we think we have. If the lady was correct about the ATM machines and messing up and people demanding cash for purchases, that's scary, Mark. That's absolutely scary. And again, if anybody's listening that lives in those areas, please call in and tell the young lady what she needs to do. Or I think she said she was a senior citizen. Tell the senior what she needs to do and who she can call about finding out more about why it was that even happened. But that's just totally concerning. But remember, y'all, if you're opening up, portals to demons, there is just no telling what you get when they come out. Don't you agree? I mean, it's kind of like when Katrina hit. I think the stress of that brought out the dark side on a lot of people. And so just imagine, Katrina revved up time, 1,000 or 10,000, and people are chaotic and running in the streets, and God knows what chasing them because it's some demonic realm. And then you got to realize too that remember in the Bible when it talks about the man that was in the cemetery, that lived in the cemetery? Remember that? And God healed the man that was living in the cemetery, but he had demons, y'all. He had demons, and he was living in the cemetery. So will these demons come out of this black hole, out of this portal, and then enter, humans and cause them to do things that they've never done before? That's scary times to me, Mark. That is just, just the thought of this is just, I'll be honest with you, y'all, it's more than overwhelming. And the research for this show has been more than overwhelming. This will be one night I could, sign off and be glad to close the book on this topic, because it absolutely, it has really enlightened me in the sense that, or I shouldn't say enlightened me, it has really awakened me to the fact that there is a part of the world in which we live in, there's an element that is just evil. It's just pure evil, self-centered, totally not concerned about their brothers or their sisters. It's all about the quest for fame, for money, for recognition, and they are not even concerned with where this is going to take us. I mean, Mark, that's just my take on it. I could be totally wrong, and God forgive me if I am, but I don't think so. I just don't think so. Would you agree?
I certainly wouldn't say that you are wrong in what you believe. I would say that it's hard for me to wrap my mind around all of the things that I've read and seen, the videos I've watched, the articles I've read, the I've read through most of the information on CERN's website, and I've studied some of the terminology, and I've learned about particle physics on a very minute level, but yet I have some basic understanding of what they say they're doing there. And I've also looked at some of the conspiracy theories and what people are saying about what their real goals may be, and why they believe what they do. And so I think that it's just real important to not just throw the baby out with the bath, to really see whether or not they are actually doing something good or whether or not they're doing something evil. And everyone has to make that decision for themselves. And I think that if we don't do anything else tonight, what we can do is we can encourage people to educate themselves and to be able to, make a decision about whether or not CERN is doing something that is beneficial for humanity or detrimental to humanity.
You know what? And I agree. Where I'm going to go with this is this. If your reason for opening up a black hole is just to say, tell me why we're here and where do we come from, I think the risk is too high. I think I'm willing to leave here without ever knowing why we're here and where we came from. Because that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy to go into such a dark place and hope, that you get the answers to what you could ask God? That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, and it just seems like I don't know. I just find that just very interesting that that we would be that concerned to the point that we would risk humanity. And what if we get it wrong? The whole what-if theory on this is just scary. I mean, it's just too many question marks, too much unknown. Someone said, I don't believe that God will let it be. I don't know. I can't say that. I think the end is near. I definitely believe that. And so will it all end with this? Who knows? I mean, and Mark, if you would speak on that you said, and I forgot what you said. You said I think you were mentioning it as part of Lindsay Williams, and I meant to pause you there and ask you. You said that it speaks in the Bible of the day when they speak of peace. Is that what you said? Well, I'm looking for it. When you said that they speak of...
Yeah, there's a scripture. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm looking for where I saw it. It says the International Day of Peace, Peace and Safety. So you said there's a place in the Bible where it speaks of when they speak of peace and safety?
It's actually in 1 Thessalonians 5:3. And it says, while people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape.
Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. Run that by me one more time. One more time.
1 Thessalonians 5:3, while people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape.
Wow. So to me, it sounds like, if I could just wrap tonight's show up in a nutshell, it sounds like it's about to be hell on earth. I mean, seriously. I mean, to a level we have not seen before, because we're talking about fallen angels possibly escaping hell. We're talking about demons possibly escaping hell. We're talking about aliens, possibly escaping hell. Now, this is my thing. The aliens, again, I know very little about. But demons and fallen angels, I know one thing. I don't want them coming out of wherever they're locked into. So, from what I understand, the fallen angels have been begging for somebody to open the door. So, if they're fallen angels, they were fallen angels for a reason. And so if we then let them out, we're unleashing, a can of whip ass that we probably can't ever cap again. That's my thought. I mean, and people are saying it could potentially be deadly. So why would we do this in our right mind? I mean, who in their right mind would think that this is a good idea?
Well, apparently scientists.
Yeah. But, I mean, Mark, there's always people, and for all those people who climb mountains and do that kind of stuff, I think you're crazy. And so when you go all the way to the top of a mountain in a snowstorm and you can't get down off the top of the mountain, I think what you did is crazy. And so even though you may be the best at what you do, you still put your life at risk. And so you may potentially have to have other people risk their lives to save you. Well, the same principle applies to this time 1,000 or time 10,000. When you open up this portal, you're risking not only your life, but the life of everyone here on Earth. So why would that be a good thing? It's not. I mean, and I just can't imagine that would be the best thing for us to do. That just makes no sense. And so nobody's going to ever make me believe that, I don't know, nobody's going to ever make me believe that this is the right thing to do. Let's go to the phone lines. We're going to go to area code 336-905. Good evening. You're on center stage.
Hi, Carrie. First of all, my name is Rock. I just want to say thanks. For what you're doing. You posted something earlier today that really caught my eye, and that was the book by Ralph. That was the book by Ralph Epperson. Okay, and when I saw that book, I realized that I actually bought that book many years ago. That book actually was published in 1990, and so I probably bought it. I want to say maybe around somewhere between 98 and 2000, somewhere in that time frame, and there was and at that particular time, I can say, now that I'm much older, that book was probably above my head. But just looking at it, at this particular passage, because I don't think any of this that we're discussing, I don't think anything that's going on is actually a coincidence. It says in this book now, it's written in 1990, about this New World Order.
Okay.
New World Order by Ralph Epperson. And on this page that you actually posted, the thing that stood out to me, it says homosexual marriages will be legalized. Okay? How did he know that in 1990? This is 2015. Okay? This is, 25 years later?
Right.
So, and at the particular time that I was researching this, I was doing a bit of research on Freemasonry. Okay, so I got another little passage that I want to read to you guys. All right, so let's see here. It says the headquarters of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is located at 1733 16th Street Northwest in the DuPont Circle neighborhood and stands approximately 1 mile directly north of the White House. The full name of the Supreme Council is the Supreme Council, Mother Council of the World, of the Inspectors General Knights Commander of the House of the Temple of Solomon, of the 33rd degree of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry of the Southern jurisdiction of the United States of America. Basically, what I'm basically letting you guys know here is that all of these world leaders, one of the things that they have in common, one of the things that I found in my research many years ago, is that every president that we've ever had was a Freemason. And if he wasn't a Freemason, he was an honorary Freemason. If you looked at George Bush's speeches that he did, and if you compared them to President Obama's speeches, they both talk about the New World Order. So this is nothing new. This is nothing new at all. So, I just wanted to basically kind of throw that out there that, this whole thing is kind of connected in that way. And actually, when you sent me that message today, as far as the key to the abyss, I went there. I was bored at work, decided I'd go and take a look. If you have a computer, look it up on your computer, because one of the things that I was able to do is look at all of the pictures of this thing, okay? And you can scroll around, you can move around within each room. And I mean, this thing is huge, it's humongous, you know. So I agree with you. You know, they're tapping into something that, you know, we have no idea. You know, it's not going to be good.
I agree.
I just wanted to kind of.
I think, like you say, nothing is a coincidence. I think that book, The New World Order, you know, it's just it's basically it was a blueprint in showing us, you know, what was going to come. And I think when they mentioned that, and I posted that because somebody else had already posted, I just kind of reposted it. But I just thought it was funny too that in 1990 they knew that was going to be. So it's like none of this stuff that's happening is just happening. You know what I'm saying? This stuff has been planned and calendared in, and so we're just the last to catch on. And so I think what's happening is we got to be very, very conscious. And I hate to use that word because people use it so loosely now, but I think we got to be much more conscious about what's going on and really start looking at things you know, more closely and not taking things just on the surface, because we got people that sitting in dark rooms planning every aspect of our life. I mean, and so when you look at it from that angle, you just realize that this stuff, whatever we're living, the bike trails, the smart meters, you know, all of these things have been planned out already. And so, you know, this opening up this black hole, they didn't just come together to put all this stuff together yesterday. This stuff has been in the making. And if 23 world leaders are aware of it, that means they're part of it. And if government dollars are going toward it, shame on them. And so, y'all, we got a lot to be concerned about. But thank you, Rock, so much for calling in tonight. That's another element of it, y'all. This is connected to the New World Order. You know, it's not something that we can just think, okay, well, the New World Order is separated from this. No, the New World Order is very connected to this. So, Mark, you know, in closing tonight, what would you leave us with?
Well, I'll just say that the scientific world in relationship to Cern, they don't plan to stop here. At this point, they have plans to, and I think I mentioned this earlier, to have an even larger particle collider operational by 2026. The physicists at CERN hope to eventually build larger accelerators that would produce collisions with even more energy than the LHC, which might allow them to discover new particles and better understand dark matter. At least that's what they say. The proposed International Linear Collider, is what they're calling it, would be more than 20 miles long, with a pair of accelerators facing each other straight on, rather than the familiar ring design of the LHC and other accelerators. It's still pending, but could be built in Japan, with scientists hoping to have it operational by 2026. Now, I don't have all the answers, but hopefully we've raised some very important questions tonight.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've done. And I think that if nothing else, it will cause people to go do their research and learn more about what CERN is doing, what they say they're doing, and then you can compare that to what other people are saying or think that it's about.
Absolutely. And, you know, y'all listen, we put up an excellent Facebook event on this. There's a lot of information on there, written and in video form, that really opened my eyes, and I think it will open your eyes as well. It'll probably be up a couple of days. You know, y'all, I think the lady that called in made a very relevant point that it's prayer time. You know, we can fool ourselves, you know, that this isn't the darkest time we've seen in our lifetimes, but it really is. And so it's time for us to pray and fast and read God's word and look for some wisdom on what to do from here. Y'all, that's about all I got. Listen, like I told you, mind-blowing 2 hours. I'm still, you know, frazzled by what I found out this week, and I think you will be too once you begin to research for yourself. Y'all, this is what we do each and every Friday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Central, 9 to 11 Eastern. Join us here every Friday night. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a coworker to check out the show. Also, if you have an idea for a show, drop us a line at centerstageradio@yahoo.com. At centerstageradio@yahoo.com. And if it's something in line with what we do here at Center Stage, we will definitely consider it. But you all see what we do here. Wait, sometimes we're on the cutting edge and ahead of everybody else. But just like we talked about the stock market last Friday night, what happened, Mark, on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, when we decided to do that topic, the stock market crash is imminent, that was before it had dropped any points. And then in the subsequent days is when everything began to happen. So we were right on target with that.
Mm-hmm. And we believe tonight, y'all, that this topic will be as well. And, we don't try to follow the leader. If we talk and we believe it's relevant and we believe that it's something that the audience needs to know, we are not afraid to be the first to put it out there. And so there's other people on YouTube, of course, talking about it, but I don't think anybody on Blog Talk Radio is talking about it so far. So be ye warned. Center Stage sounded the alarm tonight that there is reason to be concerned about Cern and what they're about to do. Okay, y'all, we got to get out of here. We'll see you next week, same time, same bad channel. Bye-bye.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could have told me.
Geico makes it easy. Just go to Geico.com anytime to update or check your policy without all the extra drama.
I even had a gift receipt.
Adding the choice of a crispy chicken BLT to Wendy's 4 for $4 is the biggest thing since rappers trying to sing.
I got me a yacht and I sound like a robot.
But do you like the sound of this? Wendy's 4 for $4 now comes with a choice of a junior bacon cheeseburger or a crispy chicken BLT.
From Detroit to Macon, I keep it crisp like bacon.
Both are topped with crispy Applewood smoked bacon and come with 4 nuggets, fries, and a Coke for just $4.
Oh, yeah.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time. Meal includes small fries and a drink. Not valid in Alaska and Hawaii.